Jesus. It's the House of Horrors.
Yes. That we talked about last recording.
Yeah, that I heard House of Horrors. Whores.
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 Welcome to Please Make This Movie, a show where we take a beloved movie or TV series and create the perfect sequel, prequel, or spinoff. I'm Zach.
I'm Storm.
And I'm Nick.
As always, you can follow us on Twitter. We're also on Facebook. Just search Please Make This Movie. You know the deal. This week we're talking Home Alone. We're doing a Home Alone 3, but Kevin is going to be a grown-up. He's going to be an adult in this one. Before we get to it, let's talk a little bit about the first two Home Alone movies.
Well, as I said in our first recording, that was lost forever. So just so you guys know,
You're not supposed to tell them.
I don't give fuck all 6 people that are going to listen to this. Dude. I don't give a shit.
Oh no! Thank you to all 6 people who are going to listen to this.
We love the Netherlands. We love Sweden. We love you all.
Anyway, we all agreed with 100% like agreement that this is a movie about 2 pedophiles trying to diddle Kevin, but truly it's not thieves. They're actually dirty diddlers.
Oh man,
I'm gonna go on a recorded record and say I do not agree with that.
I could see how someone maybe would interpret it that way, but I think there's sufficient evidence to the contrary.
I wouldn't think it is fair to say that these guys are like, I do not understand how they have made it this far in the burglar field.
Oh no,
because they're very
terrible.
Bad.
Yeah, they don't stake. Well, they do. They show them even doing the legwork of like staking out the houses, and Joe Pesci pretends to be a cop to go into the house and make sure everyone's going to be gone. But then when they actually are executing the crime, they're just acting like some buffoons, some like amateur hour stuff.
Yeah, the planning aspect of like hitting all these houses in a rich neighborhood when everybody's out of town for Christmas is sound. But then like a kid's home and they don't just skip over that house, which is weird because like they could just be like, all right, so clearly not everybody's gone from that house. Guess we just can't do that one. But they like refuse to take no for an answer.
It's the silver tuna of the matter. It's Joe Pesci's pride, his hubris, if you will. That leads to their comeuppance. That's so straightforward and pretty dumb because you're exactly right that they should have, in the real world, they would have been like, no way, not that house. There's a kid there.
Yes, Storm. In the mainstream media, it's Joe Pesci's hubris. But if you really look at the undertones and the dark side plot, the kid's the real goal.
Oh God,
that sexy little kid.
Well, I mean, they come back for him. You know what I mean? Like when they encounter him again in the second one. I want to go on record and say I didn't rewatch the second one, but I did brief the Wikipedia page before we started recording this. And I mean, so they encounter him again, and then they decide to get revenge. Like they're going to kill him. Is that correct?
So the plot of the second one, as far as the bandits go, is they do encounter him in New York City after they have escaped from prison. And then Kevin overhears them talking about robbing a toy store. And so he stops them from doing that by throwing a brick or a rock through the window, setting off an alarm. And they, instead of just like hightailing it out of there, they chase him into this house of traps that he's laid.
Jesus. It's the House of Horrors.
Yes. That we talked about last recording.
Yeah, that I heard House of Horrors. Whores.
Well, that's pretty crazy. I love the name, the Wet Bandits. I know it's like a joke in the movie, but I liked that enough that it did inspire a little bit of my pitch.
It is, yeah. They do want to like, because in the second one, Harry, which one's Harry? Which one's Marv?
Harry's
the tall one, right?
No, other way around, I think.
Okay, Harry is Pesci. Marv is Daniel Stern.
Yes.
Okay. So Marv has his hand wrapped in tape and sticks it into a one of those jingling bell Santa things to steal change, and wants to go by the moniker the Sticky Bandits in the second one. So he really wants to have like a brand. He wants to have like a calling card almost.
Yeah, they're not just about the goods, but they're about the infam. I don't know, but I'm trying to find the noun for infamous, but like I want to say infamity, but that's not a word, and I know
it's just infamy.
Infamy, fuck me. All right, yeah, infamy. That's right. Yeah, they're all about the infamy. They want that notoriety.
Well, that plays kind of into the incompetence of the criminals there, because infamy and a successful life of crime, they're kind of not achievable together. At least from the media I have consumed about, like, if I think about like Breaking Bad, the whole name of the game is like keep a low profile. But these guys, yeah, they want to be known. And then at the end of Home Alone, when they get caught, the cops just say like, "Oh, wet bandits. Now we know exactly what crimes to charge you with, you dumb idiots."
Yeah. And kind of in the second one, when they get caught, Marv reveals like their entire criminal history. He's like, we tried to steal the toys from this place, and we just broke out of prison a couple days ago. And like, they were just stopping them. I don't really know like what their crimes would have been when they were charged in the second one, because the police just caught them covered in birds. But
does Marv ever display any special criminal or like burglar skills that would justify why Harry and him are working together? Because Harry seems to be a little bit smarter about it. He does get kind of pissed off at Kevin, and it's like, oh, we got to get revenge on the kid. But like Marv, in at least the first one, seemed to be the one tipping it over the edge into like absolute criminal incompetence. So I guess I was just wondering, and maybe in the second one, are they any better?
I think he's more of just like not the muscle, but he can like withstand a beating. So like, if you know somebody who can just really get the shit kicked out of them and still come back for more, that's Marv.
He specializes in kid snatching and diddling.
Oh no! Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So I don't think. I honestly don't think he brings anything to the table.
I think he's just really relentless. Like he continues to just constantly do things that are obvious traps. But he keeps pushing forward.
It's a Lenny and George relationship from Mice and Men, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like kind of like I gotta I imagine Joe Pesci kind of has this love-hate relationship with him, that he kind of just puts up with him, but he always gets him in trouble.
So let's talk about what we think are the hallmarks of a Home Alone movie. And I think kind of the title of the movie says it all. It's obviously got to have like an alone aspect. Where it is Kevin versus burglars.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Something about him being alone, setting up some sort of traps, booby traps, awaiting, either burglars or someone coming to break in. Do you guys think Christmas is something? Are your pitches set around Christmas?
I didn't actually specify.
Mine is because I feel like the takeaway of both Home Alone movies is kind of this family, this like lesson about family. The first one, he talks about never wanting to see his family again, and then at the end, he's like really excited for them to come back because he misses them all. And in the second one, he has a similar thing where he's super upset with his family. And at the very like second to last scene, he's at the Rockefeller Christmas tree talking about how he wishes he could take everything mean he's ever said back to his back about his family. And so I feel like the lesson is kind of like Kevin has to have this remorse about how he doesn't like his family at times. And I don't know that that's necessarily a Christmas lesson. But I think family obviously is one of those things that goes into a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I definitely see how that is. Kind kind of the central theme or moral of the original two movies. I went in a slightly subverted direction with that aspect for my pitch, but I think it can still come around. We always end up combining ideas. And I didn't necessarily think about Christmas when I was writing it, but it is so easy to just say like, oh, yep, and it's Christmas too.
Yeah, same. I didn't think about Christmas at all.
Yeah,
No,
I
I don't necessarily think that there is anything anything inherently Christmas about the movies. Like there's some traps that are based around like Christmas ornaments or things in the first one, but outside of that, there's not like there's some scenes with Santa Claus,
Yeah.
and obviously like shoveling snow, but like not necessarily a super Christmassy movie.
There was an element in the first one that I was kind of thrown off by a little bit. So the evening before they go to the airport, and then Kevin is forgotten. Kevin goes upstairs and he says, "I wish I didn't have a family." And then they kind of show this sequence where it's like zooming in on Santa, like a Santa statue on the wreath, and then you're seeing the winds blowing, and then the power lines go down. And I thought for a moment it was implying some sort of like magical divine intervention situation where it was like, oh, this is whimsical and magical. Something is happening to instigate this situation. Was there anything like that in the second one? Because I think it felt a little bit out of place.
So in the second one, he unplugs an alarm clock to like get something. He like unplugs an alarm clock to plug something else in, and plugs the alarm clock back in, and the alarm clock's never reset. So there is that like thing that keeps them from waking up on time.
Okay.
But it's not. It is much less like a wish from Kevin. It is more like their own stupid move.
I'm glad to hear that, because that was one element. I guess when watching that I kind of thought like, oh, maybe I don't remember the tone of this movie. But then after that, it kind of abandons that entirely. It's interesting because Chris Columbus, who directed this, later directed the first two Harry Potter movies, which I think have a much different tone than the later Harry Potter movies. And that moment was the closest thing in all of Home Alone, where it's like, oh, yeah, okay, there's our whimsy, our Harry Potter kind of the magic in the wind sort of thing.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Did you say the director of this movie is Chris Columbus?
His name is Chris Columbus. Yeah, but
Did he also direct the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Marina? How?
Well, different Christopher Columbus, but this guy, he goes by Chris Columbus in credits, I think specifically to separate him from the Christopher Columbus jokes and association.
Yeah.
I think that whimsical like Santa wishful sort of scene is like, well, maybe this is a sort of Christmas miracle where they purposely, some sort of Christmas spirit purposely makes Kevin home alone so he could appreciate his family more.
I think the first one is a lot more whimsical, and maybe it's just lighter, because even the traps that he sets are far less lethal than they are in the second one. And then in the second one, there's also the whole hotel crew, and like credit card fraud, and it's not necessarily dark, but it definitely is not as like playful as the first one.
Yeah, I forgot that Tim Curry is the concierge in the hotel. Tim Curry, who was also in Clue. I didn't rewatch the second one, but I saw his name on the Wikipedia, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Rob Schneider is like a bellboy. And there's a funny gag that comes around at the end where Rob Schneider is the bellboy, brings his bags up and like rubs his fingers together for a tip, and Kevin gives him like a piece of gum the first time, and then the second time Kevin asks him if he wants a tip, and he's like, "Oh, I got a little bit of tip left," and he like shows him his gum, and then Kevin has money, like he's like, "Oh, whatever," and then at the very last scene, he comes to the door, and Buzz takes out his gum and puts it in Rob Schneider's hand as a tip. So there's just this running kind of joke about tipping your bellhops.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Was I calling him a busboy that entire time?
It was I don't know.
yeah, I don't
Bellboy.
I
don't know.
knew what you were saying.
Yeah, it was foreshadowing Rob Schneider's career. He just wanted money, but actually probably has a lot of money with those Adam Sandler movies. But anyway,
I feel like Rob Schneider is a guy where you would either be. I don't think I'd be shocked either way. I don't think I'd be shocked to find out that he's like a multimillionaire who's living off these like not so great movies. But also, I wouldn't be shocked if he's just like has nothing, and that's why he's like doing these bit parts in all these movies.
I kind of hope he's poor though.
I
don't know, man.
As like are you saying like he deserves it from the quality of the content of his career?
I mean, you know, Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember, I haven't seen that movie since I was a child, but I remember laughing at that movie. It's probably horrendous. But.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I do remember a joke from that movie that makes me laugh where he's like going on a date or taking out like this super tall woman who's like out of the shot. She's so tall. And like every time she walks in the screen, some off-camera person goes, "That's a big bitch," or like, "That's a huge bitch." And it's
I remember that joke for
so
sure.
stupid. So stupid.
I also like The Animal with Rob Schneider. I know this is we're derailing the Home Alone conversation, but
welcome to the Rob Schneider podcast.
I didn't hate him back in the day, but he has this terrible reputation. I even liked like the Benchwarmers. I thought was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was a child when I enjoyed all those movies, and I don't know, I just never had the urge to rewatch them.
Yeah, I don't have that urge now. Even talking about them.
Yeah, I think I am all Schneidered out. So let's go ahead, and if we have anything else, let's do that before we get into pitches. But I think we're ready to get into pitches.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying, but we ignored the fact that there is a canonical Home Alone 3, and our Home Alone 3 is the continuation of Kevin McCallister. So it goes without saying that Macaulay Culkin is a big part of what needs to be there for us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
I will go first if nobody wants to
go for it.
Me off. All right. So I have, obviously we have an adult, Kevin McCallister. His family is getting ready for another trip. This time, all of the kids have been called back by the parents as adults to take them and their families on a vacation. Kevin is a single man, and the whole kind of premise of how he ends up home alone is Kevin wakes up early, bound not to get left behind. He goes and actually gets coffee and donuts for everybody because he wakes up so like ridiculously early to make sure they don't oversleep, they don't leave him behind. This is going to be intercut with scenes of everybody obviously oversleeping because this is just a terribly irresponsible family. Kevin brings all the donuts back. He brings the coffee back. And then he realizes, oh, I left my phone. So he heads back out to the donut shop. His phone isn't there because somebody stole it. And so his phone is now missing. On his way back to the family, and now he's kind of pressed for time, he gets stuck behind a Christmas parade, and he does not make it back in time. The family wakes up, rushes out. They don't do a head count. In fact, like Kevin, basically the night before took his ticket, took everything, basically said like, I will make it there if you guys leave me. I know this is like the drill. And we see as the cars are pulling away, the brake lights slam, the dad rushes back in, and then rushes back out with the coffee and donuts. So we think maybe they forgot Kevin, but they just went back for the coffee and donuts. And then we see Kevin running up as the vans pull away. He cannot contact them because he doesn't have a phone. At the airport, we see Kevin's mom texting him saying like, where are you? We're on our way to the airport. And the phone, which was stolen, remember, replies, be there on my way. So somebody obviously just like replies to the text from this stolen phone. And then we start our movie, Home Alone 3. Kevin is stranded. He's stranded at his home, his childhood home, with no real means to get to the airport because he doesn't have a phone, doesn't have any money, and so he's just stuck there until he can figure out what's going on. And that's kind of where my pitch ended, really. But my thought is, instead of doing a Harry and Marv, we could do like a Harry's son is kind of out for vengeance for this family. He just wants to like destroy this family's house because like this is what ultimately got his dad put in prison, and is why he never spent his childhood with his father. And so he wants to like get revenge on this family. Through the series of events, I want to reveal what Kevin's dad does for a living, because it's pretty crazy that a guy who can just like live in a mansion and take his entire family to France just like because he's got to have a pretty good job. I want it to be revealed that he is actually like a money launderer for the mob. And that's kind of why everything just goes away. That may even be why Harry and Marv were like really targeting that house. Maybe they were trying to get some of those mob secrets. And that would be, I think, a good reveal for Kevin to find out about his family. We have the usual hijinks. The big twist of this movie, I want to make it an interactive, like Netflix style movie where you can kind of choose what traps Kevin sets. And you can kind of choose like what traps the bandits kind of trip. I think that would be
a choose your own adventure,
fun, interactive, like choose your own adventure type thing. And we could have like one of the paths you go down, Kevin like accidentally kills them, and then we see like him getting arrested for manslaughter. And we just have these various endings. I think that'd be a fun way to kind of do something different with the movie. And that's kind of where I end my pitch, just that interactive aspect with multiple endings.
Nice.
I like the choose your own adventure vibe. That should, like the Bandersnatch from Netflix, which I actually didn't like that, but I think it would work better with a simple Home Alone.
Yeah, it's something like this, if they were to make a modern reboot or threequel to Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin, would have so much tongue-in-cheek kind of humor. Macaulay Culkin isn't as prominent as an actor. He's kind of more prominent as a celebrity these days. So it being choose your own adventure, maybe where he is even like winking, like breaking the fourth wall, just talking right to the audience kind of thing. That sounds plausible and totally fun.
I also have, so I don't want to get into like my casting decisions or anything, but I have a son, kind of Harry, who very much is playing the like Joe Pesci role.
Nice.
And then I have two different directions we could go with Marv. I have one idea that would be more of like a muscle, not necessarily as much of a buffoon, kind of a more serious guy. And then I also have somebody who I think just fills in really well for Marv. So we could have that same kind of relationship, or we could have a little bit different relationship for the burglars.
That's very interesting. I actually also have a character who, in my mind, is Marv's son. So that's going to be fun to cast. And actually, that's probably a good segue. I could go next for the pitch if you guys are down. So in my pitch, the idea is right at the beginning, we kind of establish that Kevin McCallister, after the events of Home Alone 1 and 2, became a celebrity. He took full advantage of his story and the notoriety of his story and became kind of like a video journalist. I didn't flesh this out too much, but I like the idea of maybe him riding the MTV wave and kind of paralleling Macaulay Culkin's own career. Kevin McCallister came up as this TV show host, journalist kind of guy. He goes around interviewing people who've been in similar situations. But this is all glossed over very quickly to establish that he made a lot of money as a kid. And then he separated himself legally from his family very young, which Macaulay Culkin also did. So where we pick up, he's an adult. He's lived in Europe for many years, and he's returned home to Chicago to buy his family's house. And it's kind of, we get the vibe that he does not have a good relationship with his family. That maybe they tried to take his money when he was a kid. He didn't like it, and so he cut them off. And so our overarching theme is kind of about the return to family and forgiveness over time. But I went in kind of a dark direction here. So the movie starts, let's say it's near Christmas, early December. Kevin McCallister is having this big party at his parents' mansion where there's all sorts of celebrities, high-profile guests, and it's getting pretty wild, but it's a fun time. And people start to filter out as the night goes on. We see everyone's having a good time, and Kevin's left with two characters who I didn't name them, but I think he has two kind of best friends who are with him throughout the film.
All right.
And one of them, as they're leaving, is like, "Hey, Kevin, there's a weird note on your front door." And he goes and he looks, and there is a knife through a piece of paper, just like knifed to the door, and it says, it says something like, "Kevin McCallister, hope you've got a coroner on speed dial because we're gonna fucking kill you." And he's like, "What is this?" You know, but he's similar to Macaulay Culkin. He's this Zen adult who's kind of wise beyond his years because of his experience as a kid. He kind of laughs it off as like, "You guys, it's just somebody playing a game. This isn't going to be serious." But you can tell we kind of have a shot where he shows some hesitation. There's some fear. And so as the nights progress, he's peeking out the windows, like peeking out the blinds, looking for cars passing by. He's always keeping the lights on in the house. But he's alone, but he keeps calling his two best friends like, "Hey guys, come over. Like, you can just stay here. I'll take care of you. Like, it's all on me, you know, any food, anything you need." And then he gets another note. He gets one in the mail. Then he notices one under his, the wipers on his car. So he's being stalked, clearly. So he's freaking out. And he decides the best way to address this is to use his celebrity to go and post basically a threat to those people. Maybe he takes to Instagram or Facebook, and it's like, "Hey, I know this happened as a kid. If you're associated with those guys, I invite you to just talk to me, and we'll make this work out. I'll hear you out, and you can have this platform to say what you got to say." And then he gets another note directly addressing that. It's like, "Hey, man, we saw your note. We're coming for you." So then we see him getting more and more unhinged, and we end up in a bar. He's with his two friends. He's really drunk, and he's like, "I'm calling him out. we're going to have a fight in my front yard. We're going to get a bunch of cameras, and I'm just going to end this once and for all." And he notices that this guy, this big, tough looking, let's say bald gentleman, super, just like a huge muscular fighter looking guy, but not a bouncer. Kevin sees him like kind of side eyeing him, and he goes up and he's like, "Hey man, do you know anything about what's going on? These people stalking me." And the guy's like, I don't know anything about that. You need to back off, sir. I don't know who you are. I don't appreciate this." And it escalates, and Kevin decides to fight him, and he like throws a glass on the ground. He's like, "Hey man, you're trying to come at me right now. I know you know what's going on." And the guy beats the shit out of him, just punches him right in the face, knocks him to the ground, starts kicking him. He loses bad. So now his friends, they drag him out of the bar, they take him back home, and he's broken. His cool demeanor is shattered. He's crying. He's telling these guys like, "It's all a sham, man. I should have spent Christmas with my family. I should have invited them back home. I didn't do any of that. But all I know for sure is these guys are coming for me." Let's say they get to his house and there's another knife on the door, and it says, it's got a note, and it's like, tomorrow night is the night. We're ready for you. We're coming. So Kevin is left home alone, and we see a scene kind of like in, oh my God, what's the name of that movie? The Royal Tenenbaums, when Luke Wilson's character, Richie, it's right before he slits his wrist. He has this sequence where he's staring at himself in the mirror and he shaves his head. I want to have the same scene with Kevin McCallister where he's staring at himself in the mirror. His nose is bleeding. His eyes are bruised, and he shaves his head. And then he puts on like a Rambo headband, and he gets on a, like a wife beater, and he starts booby trapping the house. but it's scary.
I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna say he shaves his head, then he puts aftershave on his head and does the scream.
Well, yeah, okay, now he does for sure. That's awesome.
But instead of his hands on the cheek, it's on his like top of his head.
Yeah,
exactly.
but okay, so my idea is that people come to the house and we think it's going to be like fun and games, like in the original movie, but these are just straight up gangsters. They go under the name Sons of the Wet Bandits, and they are an organization. Their leader is the son of Harry. Harry and Marv are running this criminal syndicate from prison, and their whole deal is revenge on this dude. They've been waiting this whole time, so they just show up ready to kill him. But he hides in the house, kind of like Laurie Strode in the Halloween remake. He's booby trapped his house as a kill house, and they come in. And in my pitch, the movie is funny until the point where he shaves his head in the mirror, and then it is dead serious. And Kevin hunts and kills these criminals, and they're all kind of like goofs, like they're wisecracking. I have them all played by comedians almost, but the tone is dead serious. He kills them, and then he is arrested. And the end is he calls his mom from prison on Christmas to apologize and tell her that he learned his lesson. He knows now it's all about family, but he's not going to be seeing anyone for Christmas anytime soon. And that's what I got.
I like that. I like the Rambo moment. It sort of fits in with mine a little bit, not as murderous and violent, but nice.
Yeah, I don't really have it. I didn't flesh it out too much. I kind of just, when we thought of this idea, it just immediately like, okay, if you said in Home Alone 2, it's escalated a little bit. It's not there. The traps are more dangerous. So I like the idea of Home Alone 3. It's escalated all the way. And now there's no pretense of it being goofy. He's trying to hurt people.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. I also like him buying his family's home.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As like a middle finger to his family.
That's exactly the idea that would be established right away, is that he hates his family. He's so far removed. He doesn't send Christmas gifts. He doesn't call anybody. So the family, maybe he's got like a picture of the family at the house and you see him like turning it around or taking it off the wall or something.
I like the idea of him walking into like Buzz's old room and just like taking a dump on the floor.
Just jerking off on his pillows.
Fuck you, Buzz.
Oh man,
Buzz. Buzz is like a successful, like happy family man now. He's done.
I think that would be a fun thing to insert, is like some of the, like Buzz specifically maybe calls him up and like, hey Kev, I just want to make sure you're having a good Christmas. And things aren't that great. And what we see in this moment is that Buzz has totally happy kind of family life. And Kevin immediately is like, no, man, don't even try to reach out. You know the rules. Don't call this number. And he like hangs up on him real angrily.
I really like the idea of Kevin being his entire family kind of downplaying the fact that they left him behind twice, and him being just like beside the fact that they can act like it's not a big deal. That like, so in my pitch, I didn't say this, like the first conversation that is like the family fight before it, I thought it'd be funny to have them all like joking around of like, oh, we don't want to leave Kevin behind again. And he's just like fuming mad because he's like, no, that's not fucking funny. Like, I was a child and I suffered major trauma. People tried to kill me.
Yeah. And you guys lost me not once, but twice.
Yeah. And then what? You let it happen again.
Oh, I do want to say before we move on, the idea, Zach, that you had of his dad being a money launderer for the mob, I love that. And I almost retroactively want to insert that into my pitch as like part of the reason that this gang is coming for him now is like, hey man, like, you're not any better than us. Your family earned their money through criminal means as well, but we went down and you got famous. So we're here for revenge and to kind of, rub your face in the dirt a little bit.
By the way, the actor that played his dad is dead. John Hurd.
Oh.
I checked that out, so I don't know if
R.I.P.
that matters. Reap.
Reap.
But anyway, I can go ahead and start with my little pitch, if you guys don't mind.
For show.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Alrighty, so immediately after the events of Home Alone 2, conflict ensues in the McCallister family, and both Kevin's parents get a divorce because they're both arguing over who's at fault for leaving Kevin behind, and it just is like a huge conflict, and it just they can't stop blaming each other, so they get a divorce, and this really tears up Kevin because he feels guilty about it, even though they left him home alone. It's kind of centered around him, and he just loses like this lack of confidence, and his life kind of goes in this huge spiral. And you fast forward to current times. Kevin's getting pretty old, and he's still living with his mom and his new stepdad Bryce in this huge empty house where it's just those three living, maybe with some animals. And I'm going to introduce a cast member just because it's specific to mine, and I think it's important for the vibe of the movie I'm trying to go for. I want Bryce to be played by Danny McBride. I'm kind of going for like a Step Brothers or Hot Rod vibe. Like, I don't know, those sort of like parental, like coming of age sort of stories. Because Kevin's just like a big piece of shit. Like, he's got a few DUIs, on and off with jobs. And while Bryce is like pretty much a pretty big douchebag, him and his mom seem to get along pretty well, but he's like super about like being a man. Like, and he kind of influences Kevin as an adult. Like, come on, dude, you got to be a badass. He has this like knife sword collection that you get from like Off the Wall. Like, he's like super into like ninja stuff and like Rambo and all these movies. Like, Kevin, that's a real man, Sylvester Stallone. He's a fucking badass. You're a little bitch. Keeps calling him like a pussy throughout the movie, and he's just like, fuck you, man. He's just like playing video games or something. I also like in the early part to the film, like Kevin's like, Kevin's mom's just really trying to get him to like, get out of the house and just get some responsibility. Real nice, like, and caring. And Bryce, his stepdad, maybe takes him, like, gives him the wrong advice and like takes him out to a shooting range because maybe if he shoots a gun, learn how to protect his family, become more of a man, and get some more responsibility. And like, Kevin goes out, he shoots a gun once, and he's just fucking horrified. He's like, man, no, man, like, and Bryce's like, you're a little bitch, Kevin, like, fuck you. Like, how you ever gonna protect your mom if I'm not around? That's why I gotta be around all the time, Kevin. You're so like, I don't know. And obviously throughout the whole movie, he's trying to get his mom to kick him out. Like no, man, like he just wants his mom for himself. He's kind of an antagonist, but like, he's just does not like Kevin being there. So what they do is they plan this family trip to Australia, and it's around Christmas time. And Kevin's kind of bummed out because he's always spent Christmas with his mom. They have the memories, like ever since he was left alone, he like really enjoys spending them with him. And, he never really hangs out with his dad that much. But, Bryce, when he's buying the tickets, accidentally books a ticket for Kevin on a different flight. In reality, he didn't book any tickets for Kevin. He's just trying to get a vacation away from Kevin, but his mom insisted that he goes. So he essentially plans to strand Kevin home alone intentionally while they're in Australia. He makes up this BS story about how like, we need to have minimal communication, so he's in complete contact with Kevin, even though he's just pretending to say like, Kevin looks like he got a layover, where in reality he didn't buy Kevin a ticket at all. When Kevin goes to the airport, it's not there waiting for him, so he's completely bamboozled. And so he gets like an Uber driver to take him to the airport and back, and he has a DUI, so he can't really drive, and the weather's pretty messed up. So eventually he just gets stranded alone on his own. Meanwhile, while he's stranded alone, Harry and Marv get released from prison. And I just added this from our earlier conversation, but I kind of like it. I like the idea that Kevin made false charges about them trying to have sex with him and gave them a much more serious sentence than they actually deserved.
No.
So Marv and Harry's goal is not to just rob, his household, but to literally kill Kevin because they're just like ruining his fucking lives. And so the Wet Bandits gather up some goons they met in prison who are actually some like young, lively.
Also called the Wet Bandits and Sticky Bandits, and they were in prison for molestation. No.
Oh no.
The Wet and Sticky Boys, yeah. No. So they meet some actually like a couple of young goons like that they hire in prison with like a stash of all their stolen stuff, and that they pay for them. And essentially, Kevin can't leave because he knows his house is surrounded by these people that are trying to kill him. I mean, they could do the same thing Storm said of like sticking a knife, like, we're going to kill you, Kevin. It's statewide bandits are out to get you. And so Kevin, being like the super scared, like not masculine dude, is just like, first there's like different stages of this. So he refuses to call the police because he wants to prove that he's a man and can defend the family, because Bryce has been like egging him on and calling him like a little bitch. And so like he's like, no, I'm going to take care of this myself. And that's like a big thing. And so he has like this first set of defense where he tries to use the same traps as he did as a kid, but they go horribly wrong because like the bandits are like, what the fuck is this paint can? They dodge out of the way. Like they hear like firecrackers and they're like, yeah, it's just fireworks. And they go in and like somehow he narrowly escapes. Like he gets them out of there at the end, but he escapes with his life. And so he decides to ramp it up and he starts using like Bryce's sword and knife collection and starts getting a little bit more serious. And maybe does more dangerous stuff, like actually seriously hurts them, and like it gets kind of hyped. And then I don't know, I want it to be a point where like he like kind of defeats off the goons, but Marv and Harry come in with just fucking guns. And like they corner him in the house. They're in the house. He's stuck in his parents' room, or Bryce in his mom's room, and he's like looking in the corner at Bryce's gun safe. And he just gets flashbacks like, "Be a man, you little bitch, you fucking pussy." And like he's like, "Oh no!" And like his gun's like right next to that. And essentially, he in the end he decides to actually just call the police because that's what a real responsible adult does. Like he lets people who are hired and trained to like take care of it. They come in and they fucking kill Marv and Harry because they have armed weapons.
God.
And it's sort of like a coming of age moment for Kevin, where he's just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, like I don't need to be this like badass sort of like wannabe Rambo superhero like Bryce says, but like, I need to be more responsible and do the right things, like calling the police. And he has this whole sort of change of heart. And then like his mom comes back from vacation, just kind of like not even missing Kevin. And Kevin realizes that like, oh, like my mom had a good time with Bryce, and like, might be a dick, but like, I should probably like move on with my life and like let her enjoy her life with Bryce. And like, I should probably live my life. Like, it's kind of like family is important, but like you have to move on from like your nuclear family and maybe start your own sort of message. I don't know. That's all I really have.
Interesting. Yeah. I like a lot of that.
I really like the way that we can connect Rambo to Bryce showing him all these movies, like gotta be a man. And then I like him using a sword and like straight up cutting someone's hand off. Like the first time he does something that isn't just like a child trap, he just like hacks off an arm with a sword. Like, holy shit.
I think it's interesting because we all came at Kevin's status in like where he is at the beginning in completely different ways, but as it is kind of a Home Alone movie, they end up in similar places. It's him defending the house with traps and whatnot in a more serious scenario than before. So I think that we can combine all three of these ideas.
Yeah, I guess we have to decide which Kevin, like.
So, if we want to do the choose your own adventure, we don't have to decide which Kevin.
Oh, that's fantastic! Yeah, you can choose where he starts at the beginning.
Yeah, we can have like a Kevin knocks on the door, and what's he there for? Is he there for vacation? Is he there because he locked his keys out? Is he there because he bought the house?
Yeah,
and then that's where our divergence comes.
Nice.
That's kind of
we could still bring it back because we could still. I like the message from the burglars, basically saying that they're coming for him. I think that could be like our tie back in. So we have to have different ways of getting abandoned. So it would just be the party and everybody leaves. It would literally be our pitches more or less. But then we need to have similar threads throughout to basically weave them together at certain divergent points.
Yeah, I think so. Then that kind of leaves us deciding what, no matter where he starts out, what are the constants? And I love the idea of his parents having been divorced no matter what. They're divorced because his dad was a money launderer, and his mom has remarried to Danny McBride playing Bryce, this
I
macho
like
man
that
caricature.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And so in the one where he buys the house, we don't even see Danny McBride in that entire plot. He's just like in pictures.
Yeah, maybe on the phone. They call him, and
Yeah.
Kevin's like, "Stop calling me. I can handle this myself. I don't need you." And he's like, "Oh man, I just thought I could tell you how to wield a sword or something like that."
If somebody chooses the Kevin McCallister celebrity line, they're like, "I think Danny McBride was in that movie, but I'm not sure."
What if he showed up in that one? There's an option where at the end, Bryce shows up to save the day.
It's like a fucking sword.
Yeah, literally with a sword. I'm imagining like Butch in Pulp Fiction, like he has a samurai sword and is ready to chop people up.
Weird option.
No context. It's just Danny McBride has been in all these family pictures, and then at the very end, he just comes in with a sword, and you're like, "What the fuck?"
If it were a choose your own adventure movie and I was watching it and that was the end, I would be like, hold on, and I would for sure go back and rewatch it after that. So I don't know, I like that a lot.
So we're good with so we have the first divergent point. This is fucking insane.
You literally have to film 3 movies to.
But I think it's good. Like, we don't really have to film 3 movies. We have to film a couple different options every so often.
Well, a lot of the traps can be like
the same no matter what.
Yeah.
And I think the things that are the same is we have Bryce, we have the divorce, we have the detail about money laundering, and then we have an escalation. We have like childhood traps that all fail. And maybe the choose your own adventure in that one is you choose, like, do you want to do the paint cans or do you want to do the like chicken feathers?
Yeah.
That's a little trap. Like, I was watching the first one and I was like, that's not a trap. Like, I don't get he gets like a sticky mess on him and then gets feathers blown in his face. But
It's
like, he's still good.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment thing. He's hitting him right in the pride.
Tarred and feathered.
Demoralizing.
I like the idea of like if they choose the kids traps too many times, like Kevin just gets killed and they have to start over.
Yeah, I think one of the options is so like you choose child traps, and then the next, like, the child traps clearly fail, but he somehow gets out of it, and then the next round you have a choice to like escalate or choose child traps again. And like it gets closer, and then if you choose child traps a third time, Kevin just gets killed. So like you have to like definitely progress.
Ooh, okay, I have an idea. So near the third progression, what if there's a point where no matter what you choose, you get called by Bryce, and you can choose to answer or deny the call. And if you answer it, he's more. It kind of sets you on the path of him not showing up to save you. But if you don't answer the call, he thinks something is wrong and shows up to rescue you with a sword.
Nice.
So that's your way out of dying if you choose the 3 traps. The 3 original traps is Bryce can save you from literally getting, I would assume, shot in the head.
All right. So we won't have his phone getting like lost or stolen, but we'll have him just like well, I
kind of think that could
might have to happen in certain.
Yeah, it's like an option. Maybe if you don't lose your phone, you can get the call. If you do lose your phone, this option you don't even have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a web.
I'm trying to chart it out. So the first big divergence is child traps. So you can repeat that up to 3 times. If you repeat it up to 3 times, Kevin's dead at that point.
Okay.
After the second child traps, you get a phone call from Bryce. If you answer it, he belittles your manhood.
Oh no!
If you don't answer it, then he's worried and he comes and saves you if you choose child traps again.
Nice.
Then you can choose more dangerous traps, or you can choose lethal traps.
What if the other option with the Bryce call is if you go with the more lethal traps, when Bryce shows up, he's killed?
He gets killed. Yes, I like that. I like that a
lot.
lot.
I also like the fact like you can go so extreme with Kevin where he's just a murdering machine and it's actually like a scary movie where Kevin's the antagonist.
I think that is, if you choose death traps in all of the movies, you get the scene of Kevin McCallister is John Rambo shaving his head, like if there's music that is notable from Rambo, like shaving his head. He does the aftershave on his head. Doesn't do the Kevin McCallister scream, and you're like, holy shit! It's
It's just a close up of his like head sizzling from the aftershave.
Yes.
And he's just straight facing it, like
So then that's our like plot choices for the traps. And I think no matter what, the burglars are. I like the idea of the sons of the wet bandits.
Yeah.
It being like this crime syndicate.
it makes you able to get way more kills because if you don't just have Harry and Marv, like and plus they're old, so
I feel like they should be called the SOW. Like on like they have like leather jackets, like a biker gang that just say SOW, and then we find out that they're the sons of wet bandits. And that's kind of a reveal. And then as far as what do we want to do with the burglars?
Well, it sounds like there's different options depending on how you make your way through it. If you've got the child traps, they easily outsmart you and eventually kill you. In which case, I think Bryce shows up with the police, maybe, and they are arrested. Or do you just die and the movie ends? I think there should be, with them, it's like they kill Kevin, they are killed by Kevin, they are arrested, or they get away with it. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, I feel like the possible endings are Kevin dies, Kevin kills the burglars are arrested, or Kevin kills the burglars and then he is arrested.
Yes. Nice. This is crazy.
And then I feel like there should be some sort of option throughout all this for Kevin to have like a dialogue with the burglars and actually like talk to them. And then the difference between if he doesn't try to talk to them, then we don't learn much about him other than the sons of the wet bandits. But if he chooses to talk to them, that's when we learn about his father being in the mob. That's when we learn like this is the son of Harry or whoever, and kind of the origin story of the sons of the wet bandits. Because it could be like try to reason with them first, or like throw a paint can. And so that's how we get that that bit of background information.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So we did mention something. The actor who plays Kevin's dad, he is no longer alive. I think it would be interesting to have the implication be in that conversation, depending on how you choose, that maybe the villains reveal like that they contributed to his death.
That was how do you think your dad died? Well, he was in a car accident.
Yeah,
that wasn't an accident.
That was no accident. Yeah.
I like. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to think of I like a simple option. Like we were talking about Buzz's bed, but we could have Kevin in like Bryce's room, and he could be like, "All right, piss on Bryce, or like wipe your ass on Bryce's pillow." And then like if Bryce comes back and like that option goes through, you like it towards the end of the movie, you're like, "Oh, why does my pillow smell like shit?" Like it's kind of like it's a nice little follow through, like a dumb joke.
Yeah, I definitely think we should have some stuff like that where you just like do little things that in the moment seem not important.
like
It's
like
what?
it's
Yeah.
kind of like the fun Home Alone part where he's like messing around. That like have like a choose your own thing that aren't the traps, but just him like, do you want to eat a whole tub of ice cream or play with Bryce's gun like.
Play with Bryce's gun. He's just like he's firing it through the walls of the house.
I also like as one of the early options to call the police, and then the police come, but they're too late, and so nobody's there, and they're like, "Oh, this is the McCallister kid. He has these like episodes because he got left here as a child." Or they like literally fall for his childhood traps. The police do, and they're like, "Man, fuck that house. We're not going back there again."
Or if he's like super famous, they'll be like, "Nah, we get prank phone calls here all the time about a kid that was
Yeah.
left alone. Let's ignore it this
Basically,
time."
yeah, basically they it gets to a point where they're like, "This is the boy that cried wolf." If you do it too early.
Wow, this is intriguing. This is definitely interesting. This sounds fun. I would watch this. What we're describing. I love the three different starting points and that informing how different people are reacting to him and how the police would react to him. Like if he's famous, there's a different reaction than like
I agree, yeah.
the spectrum of either he's traumatized, he's got this lingering trauma, or it's like, oh, he's fine. It's just a prank, whatever. We're not taking it seriously because we get pranks from this same house because of a celebrity.
I also think that I don't know necessarily how we'd get to this, but I think if we have, I feel like if we have Kevin dying or the burglars getting away, we should have a reveal of that this is the Sons of the Wet Bandits, obviously, and that Harry and Marv are out of prison and are like actually pulling the strings and everything, and they walk in to like deal the kill shot on Kevin, or there's a big reveal before they like get away.
Yeah, and that should also be the final heavy Rambo scene. Is that like Kevin finds out they're involved by like torturing one of the last dudes, and then like goes and revenge kills the bandits.
Oh my god. Oh, I like the idea of so Joe Pesci is famously retired from acting. He came back for The Irishman, and in that movie he's so serious. Like, he's still got a couple jokes, but it's mostly like deadpan serious Joe Pesci. So if he was back in this as Harry, I imagine it would be that similar vibe where he's like this wizened criminal syndicate leader. And there aren't really so many goofs. And then maybe you have Marv being the exact opposite, seemingly not have taken any wisdom from the years spent in prison or from their encounters with Kevin, and is still same old. That'd be a fun dichotomy. And then you have the options of, do they win, or does Kevin literally murder these old men?
I think it'd be cool too if in the reveal scene we have the option of if we want Marv to be a doofus or if we want Marv to be like this fucking hard ass dude who like has been changed by prison.
Well, that could be that choice can be set by, we could start off with like a POV from Kevin talking to a cop when he's a little kid. It's like, yeah, so what are these kids? Did these guys touch you, Kevin? And then you're like, yes or no. And then yeah.
Oh my god.
So like that can be like, oh, if yes, they go to prison and they get hardened as fuck, but like no, they get a lesser sentence.
I do like that. That would then inform how hard they're coming after him too.
Yeah, it's like, yes, lie, like brackets lie.
Oh my god. That's insane, but that's awesome. That's so awesome for a choose your own adventure. You can set it up that deep.
That could be like him. Yeah, that could be almost like a flashback that he has towards the beginning of the movie after you've already chosen kind of which path he's on. You choose whether or not he lied to the police.
Wow.
So no, I think it's, I don't know, pretty good.
Done. Like, I think you have the movie.
Yeah,
there's a lot of threads.
There are a lot of threads. This idea, though, this base concept of a choose your own adventure with such a wide spectrum of who Kevin McCallister is and the context of why people would be coming after him so much later in his life. This sounds like a legitimate pitch. I could very easily see something like if all of a sudden Home Alone, the choose your own adventure movie popped up on Netflix, it'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I think we've done very good here.
So let's go ahead and get into casting. I don't know that we cast really this movie. I know we talked about Macaulay Culkin is definitely going to be Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce, I don't think we can go anywhere else but Danny McBride.
It's Danny McBride, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then I think the mom we just keep the same, right?
Yeah, I had mine broken down into two groups. One is like Kevin's potential friends, actors who could be his like celebrity friends, or even just if he's not a celebrity, just his friends, and then actors who could play the goons, including one really stupid choice who I think would be a fun Harry's son.
Okay, so let's do our obviously if we had real Harry and Marv coming in, we would keep that with Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern. Let's do if we do like stand in Harry's son, so Joe Pesci's son. Who did you guys have for something like that?
I had Josh Peck as Harry's son. I don't know why. I kept seeing this Josh Peck meme this week that was from Drake and Josh, and it was making me laugh a lot. It's that one where he says, "I do not control the rate at which lobsters die." And then it was like blanked out to contextualize the role of various Greek gods, and it was a very, very clever meme, but it definitely put him in my mind as that sort of actor. I think he's due some sort of comedic comeback, and I think this could be the role.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't choose anybody for the Suns because I wasn't planning on having them in there.
So I had so who did you have for like your burglar guys then?
I actually didn't pick because like I was thinking of them as just like goons that can get killed off immediately. I mean, as far as like
big reveal was real Harry and Marv.
Yeah, like maybe like goofy goons. Like I really like how like Bill Burr plays like a goon in Breaking Bad.
Okay,
like, I think he's a nice, funny, like kind of like working class like robber that they easily could have met in prison. I like again Storm. I like the idea of like comedians, like just like goofy ass comedians playing him like that.
So my stand-in, I guess, for the Harry part was John Magaro. He's in the Umbrella Academy. He's in, I don't know. He's in a lot of like he's recognizable, but he's not like a star in anything. He just has a very similar look, I feel like. Have you ever seen Jack Ryan? He's in a couple episodes of that.
Yeah.
Movie Overlord. So I thought he definitely gets like a young Pesci vibe to me, where he seems like a kind of a wisecracking, smaller guy. And I thought like I would definitely believe him as like the head of a criminal organization.
Yeah, so this is pretty interesting. I have a picture pulled up of John Magaro next to Josh Peck. So someone has made the comparison of them looking similar. And they really do. They have like very, very the same complexion, the same slicked back black hair, kind of the same eyebrow line. So this is extremely interesting to me. It's kind of like a comedic choice versus I don't know John Magaro, but I'm assuming it's a more serious, dramatic choice.
Yeah, he's a little bit more of a serious actor.
Interesting. This is very, very interesting to me.
I don't necessarily think we need to decide. I think we just know like whichever way we want to tip it. We can tip it with a more serious casting decision, or we can tip it with like a more comedic.
Totally. Well, I had a couple actors as just like Kevin's friends who are celebrity friends. So I guess I'll mention those. Okay. I like the idea of And this actor honestly could go either way, but Pete Davidson I feel like fits this sort of vibe a lot of just being like either Kevin's kind of cocky shit talking friend or being one of the goons.
Yeah, I think he would work in this movie.
And then the guy I've mentioned this guy before for another one of our movie pitches, but Michael Mando, who plays Nacho Varga on Better Call Saul, I think he's like one of the most perfect, like, good-hearted goon type actors, like a guy where it's like, oh, maybe he isn't all bad. So I like the idea of him being one of the more straight-laced goons. And then Lakeith Stanfield, who was in, he's the cop in Knives Out.
He's in
Get Out, yeah. I had him as either or, honestly, one of the goons or one of Kevin's cool friends, cool like celebrity friends. And if it was the celebrity friends, I feel like it could legitimately just be these people cameoing as themselves.
I also like anytime we're talking about like celebrities as themselves, just Topher Grace being one of them.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Like he is a big enough celebrity that you definitely recognize him, but he is also like I know that guy, but I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He's kind of just like for lack of a better word, he's kind of like a fan himself. He's a bit of a nerdy guy. If you dig deep on Topher Grace, so that's a fun. That's I think that's an excellent choice as a cameo.
As far as more of the burgling crew, the sons of the Wet Bandits, I had Winston Duke, who is in Black Panther.
Yeah,
he's also in the movie Us. He was my more like scary type. If we're not looking for like a comedic Marv, if we're looking for more of a guy who's more of like a serious muscle.
I dig it. I think it's interesting that you say that because Winston Duke, he can play both ends really well. He's a very serious guy, but he also can, the lighthearted, jokey elements of what I've seen him in. He's been totally capable.
I also would like Felipe Esparza. He's the dude he's like a comedian, but he stood in for Hannibal Buress on an episode of the Eric Andre show in the newer season.
Okay.
Big Hispanic dude. He's just he could play a really good dumb goon.
Yeah, he's an excellent choice. I would never have. I've seen him in things, but I don't know his name, I guess.
I've seen like a podcast interview him before, and he was pretty funny. And then I saw him in an Eric Andre clip. I was like, oh damn.
Yeah. Wow, I like that choice a lot.
I want to throw this name out if we're looking for a Marv, like a young Marv stand-in. I 100% have I would not have known this person by name, but by face, I definitely recognize him. Matty, Matty, Cardarople, Cardarople. He's in like stuff, but he plays like the same exact like teen, like nerdy teen worker. I think he like the arcade guy and Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I think he definitely has the Marv vibe of just being like this big, like goony looking guy.
Yeah, there's this picture of him. If you look him up on Google, where he's clearly had an explosion in his face, and his hair is all tossed up, and it's kind of exactly that Marv Home Alone vibe. So I can get behind that for sure.
Well, dope.
Wow.
So, do we have any more casting to do then? I think we have a lot of vague things. So how do we want we talked about it in one of the pitches, but I really like the idea of one of the phone calls is Buzz, and we get a little bit of talk of Buzz and like his life is going well, or do we just want to cut that out?
No, I like that a lot. I think another one that would be cool is Fuller. one of his youngest siblings is played by Kieran Culkin,
Yeah,
Macaulay Culkin's younger brother. I think that would be another fun one to have them come back or him come back for a moment.
I think that would be a good
But they all, yeah, they all just kind of have traditional nuclear household kind of that standard warm family Christmas vibe going on. Like I imagine them in like a suit or a sweater vest or something, giving him a call and like, hey, just checking in, and then he dismisses them every time. Or I guess there are options there.
I feel like the Buzz one could be like Buzz calls if Kevin is stranded by Bryce, and he's like calling to check in and make sure he's doing okay because like he's heard, and Kevin basically says like, "Oh, like fuck off, dude, you were a terrible brother." And he's like, "All right, like I just want you to know I'm here for you, man." And then Fuller calls when Kevin is like super successful. And he's just like, God, it's my fucking weird ass cousin. Like, and he like talks to him, and Fuller seems like a perfectly normal like human being. He's like, oh hey, I saw you moved back to town. Do you want to reconnect or something? He's like, God, you're so weird. Like he just completely overreacts to the phone call.
Yeah, you know what? I think I just realized a joke from the first movie. Is Fuller is his cousin that he is scared to share the bed with because he wets the bed, and it's played by his younger brother. Okay, so there's like a weird little inside joke there almost. Okay, for whatever reason, I thought all of the kids in the house in the first movie were brothers and sisters, and I didn't think about the fact that there were cousins in the mix as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's cousins, yeah.
Nice.
Cousins and uncles.
All right, so let's name this movie then. So I think we have, if we're following naming conventions, I think it needs to be Home Alone 3, something.
Okay, I had a really stupid one that doesn't follow that, but I want to say it anyways. So there was a movie that was made as a weird reboot of Halloween in the late 90s called H2O. And so I just straight up yoinked that and called mine H2O Home Alone 20 years later. But that we should not do that. So Home Alone 3.
It's got to be like a choose your own venture title. Like it's got to like Home Alone 3, your choice, your path, something like that. Home Alone 3,
a Christmas caper,
a Christmas caper, a Christmas. What's something? Oh man, this is hard.
Or I mean, it could be as simple as Home Alone 3, choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Did Bandersnatch have a subtitle?
I think it's just Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't think there's anything inherently noticeable about the title of it, but I really like Home Alone 3, Home Again.
Oh.
But I don't necessarily think that gives any indication that this is a like choose your own adventure story.
This is kind of dumb. It just came to me. Home Alone 3, The Trials and Tribulations of Kevin McCallister.
I like that.
Because it is kind of like you are choosing his life and then contextualizing his life. What we just fleshed out is more than most choose your own adventures give you with the various starting points. So I think it'd be fun to draw attention to that in the title.
Yeah, I agree.
So Home Alone 3, Trials and Tribulations of Kevin McCallister.
I'm okay with that if you guys are.
I'm good with that.
I like it.
Nice.
All right. Well,
all right. So I think that does it for this week. This movie really just wrote itself. It turns out choosing a interactive movie just makes it super easy to write the movie. So as always, Netflix, please make this movie.
Please make this movie.
Please make this movie, McCallister.